Alright guys, let's go ahead and get started. How are you guys doing? You guys doing well? We're jumping back in. We're going to do the solo stream today. Solo D&D stream. I think I've got everything almost set up. I'm going to do a quick double check. Let me double check. Okay, we got the weather stuff. That's good. Got our hex stocking upgrade, which I don't think we'll probably need, but just in case we do, there it is. We've got our dice up. Let's go ahead and get that up. Well, for us, 5e tools up. Get a look at some stuff. We've got our character sheets up. I think we're just about ready to get started. So, hey, thanks for joining. If you've never been here and seen this before, this is session technically number 5. I was thinking it was 4 in my mind, but you know we've done 4. It's 5 now. Oh, actually, what I need is the map. We're doing travel. I should probably bring the map up. Let me bring the map up. That will be probably useful for us since we're, on it. Let me pull it up. You know what? I should probably put this over here. I should probably put this on the big side so that way we can see a little bit easier on the small side. All right. Oh, that's the wrong campaign. That's an app for the wrong campaign. That's for the one I'm running. I need the one for our solo D&D. Solo games. A River Apart. That's what we're playing. All right. Bam! Okay, that should bring us up to where we need to be. I think that gets us everything good thus far. And we are, see if I can remember where we are. Yeah, we're gonna be right in here. I can zoom. Alright, I am just talking to myself. Feel free to get comfy. Jump in. Alright, here we go. Zoom into where we were. Alright, let's go ahead and throw it over to you guys. Let's do the workspace first. So, this is where we're at. And let's see, where do we end last session? So, last session we ended, we're breaking camp at the dense forest hikes right before Wild Rose Bend. So we are, wrong way, we are right here. This dense forest thicket, we had an encounter with some poachers that unfortunately turned violent, as is the case. On the roadway because we accidentally stumbled across them as they were getting back on the Crown Road, which is what we're on right now, and kind of turned into a little bit of a titter-tat, a little bit of a combat. Unfortunately, in the process, we killed 2 of them. 2 of them ran off though, so Reed did convince them, primarily Kristoff, to bury those bodies. Yeah, we had 2 that died. Reed convinced them and Gertrude to perform last rites, and we had to camp in the core area instead of making our way to Wild Rose Bend, which is where we were trying to get to. So, things I was supposed to do before next session: proto-Germanic stand-in for Baronet title. I did that. The Landlitter. That is what Reed is. He's a Landlitter. We created character sheets for the sidekicks. Hey, I did that too. Go me. We added the traveler clothes to the sidekick inventories. Did I do that? No, it does not look like I actually did that. At least not on Kristoff's sheets. So, let me, and I can show you everything we're looking at real quick. Yeah. Look at the stuff we're looking at over on the left. So I don't think I actually put it in there. So let's go ahead. Let's get the guys. Mythlar bracelet, and because he's wearing it, we'll go ahead and drop it in here. We'll say traveler's clothes, if it wasn't clear. And for Lord Keeper Gertrude, and this way, her down. She, however, does have traveler's clothes in there. I did do that. She does have a 13 armor class because she has natural armor for being a Saurian, which again in this custom world is anything that's like a scaly lizardy kind of person. So this is lizard folk and dragonborn. She uses the lizard folk stat block mechanically, so she doesn't have a breath weapon, but she does have natural armor because of it. also as being a sidekick. She gets that. Excellent. I think that should be everything. All right, so we did that. Yeah, he's got both of those things. He did the other. We added the other gear. Yeah, they've got all their gear now. They need everything, all the stuff that I bought kind of in between sessions for their gear up. So all that's good. So all we need to do is take this. We're actually going to cut this. And we need to make a session 5 sheet. So let's do that real quick. Add a sub tab. Session 05. Right here. What are we using now? 2? Yeah. Alright. There we go. So we had already done our weather for the day. We finished that, and we know what our travel route is going to be. We're going to Wild Rose Bend, which is on our map. Which I was going to put over there, and that's why I'm looking over there. So right here. That's where we're headed. And then from there, we're going to split off, and we're going to take up here. And we're probably going to bounce off to here. Because we want to take that ferry, which is going to take us over here. We're going to get up into... First, we're going to hit this area, and then we're going to go into this area. Now, that might look like a water hex, but there is actually land within that hex. It's primarily water, so there's like little islands and stuff that are in there. And that is the Rooklands. So we're gonna we gotta visit that chantry first to get some like documentation for us to go in there. But that's a little bit away, because first we gotta get there. We gotta get all the way up to one ferry, get across in the other ferry, and make it all the way to the chantry first. So, let's get that done. So I think the easiest thing for us to do, like we said, each one of these hexes that we're looking at here on the map constitute about, they're county hexes, so they're about 10 nautical miles across. They're 11-ish statute miles, which is a number of kilometers, which I don't know off the top of my head. I don't know that conversion. It's going to be what, like 20-something kilometers, or thereabouts. So, we got a bit to go. So each one of these kind of constitutes, because we have our pack mules with us, there's a chance that we can get 2 done. 2 squares kind of done today, because we went to, we were through here, we'd rested here, and then we passed through all the way down here. We walked through there, and we did a pretty good job of making time. So I think we'll probably, because we're on a road, we have a pretty good chance of making it all the way to... We can make it all the way to the ferry, I feel like today, at least, in one day. Because we're gonna hit Wild Rose Bend very, very early. Now, unless we stop to talk to people at Wild Rose Bend, which we might want to do. Because remember that there are somebody related to the Druids that may have been part of the kidnapping plot, the kidnap Reed, which Gertrude knew specifically from Wild Rose Bend. So there's a chance that once we get there, there's some people to talk to. But that is our primary focus for today. Hey, how are you doing, Michael? 3.5. Part-time DM. Working on the next campaign, The Abandoned Keep at Cathedral Pass. Oh, very cool name. I like that. The Abandoned Keep at Cathedral Pass. It's got that very iconic, like, old-school D&D Keep on the Borderlands kind of vibe to it. I like that. Hope it's going well for you. That's our plan for today, is we're going to hit Wild Rose Bend first. We'll determine whether we want to ask people questions or not. We're going to move pretty quickly. So I think we'll be good. Thing is, if we take time here, we're probably not going to make it to the ferry. We can probably make it here. I don't know. There's only one way to find out if we'll make it in time, and that's simply by playing the game. So I guess, without further ado, we should play the game. Let's hop in and do it. Okay, so We're gonna break camp. Average day, so it's a bit cool, but it's breezy, it's a little bit foggy, so we don't have great visibility on stuff, which already hurt us last time. But we're going straight on to Wild Rose Bend. So, what I'm going to do is, I think for this, I'm trying to figure out how we want to knock the travel nodes, because, like I said, they can move probably 2 pretty easily. 3 if they're really pushing it. Or up to 4 if they're really pushing it. But since each one kind of is about 10 to 12 miles, that's kind of a good day's travel. But they're on a road, so they should be going a little bit faster, and they've got pack donkeys with them. So let's just, you know what? Let's just give a good check real quick. So I'm going to give, let's say, this is going to be a Gertrude thing. You know what? We're going to make a little... We're gonna do a little skill challenge here. So we need we're gonna do 3 checks. We want primarily we want more successes than failures, obviously. And we're gonna stop holding that. Back out. So I think the first check is going to be, because I want everybody to make a check. Every one of our 1 PC and our 2 sidekicks. So I think Lord Keeper Gertrude has the animal handling. So we're going to give her the animal handling check. So let's make a DC real quick. 1, 2, 3. Oh, good. That's such an easy DC. We're very, very, very lucky. All right, 1 and 2 means a base of 5 plus 3, so a DC 8. That's super easy for us. As we get in, so we browse pretty early, I feel like. And she's going to do probably a pretty good job here tackling with the animals. Because we can spam this if we want to, because we really want to make sure we get this done. She can guidance herself. So she will give herself some guidance. Well, it's an extra 1. Ooh, which might be what we need. Okay. So animal handling is wisdom, which she has a 0 in. Alright, so that's 5, 6. Okay, so we actually fail that. We somehow failed that DC 8. We did very, very poorly. Unfortunately, yeah, nobody's gonna be helping because everybody's doing their own thing. Alright. So, animal handling by Gertrude. Failure. That's unfortunate. So, we can say this. I think that she's quite good at probably, I mean, she's not a porter or a teamster, so her ability to pack the animals is probably amateurish. So it probably takes a lot longer to appropriately set the load on these guys' back, on the donkeys' backs, than we thought. So we're gonna lose a little time there. So, what seems right for Kristoff? Kristoff is probably going to make a survival check, I assume. Which is going to be cleaning up camp, getting their bearings, and getting things ready to go. Packing everything up and getting it ready to go. Camp. Well, she's already used her 1 guidance, so nobody else gets guidance. So it's a DC 8. He has, what is it, a plus 3 to it, so he needs to roll a 5. Okay, so he passes. Okay, so survival. Kristoff is a success. Remember that when we look at the map, real quick. So remember that Kristoff has made the journey to get to here, all the way from down here. So he is very, very practiced. He's also a much older individual. He's much more senior. He's the most senior person in the group by age. So he's got the most experience. So he's done this a lot. He's moved around and packed up camp and done that stuff and made things good. So I think he made sure everybody got up on time, made sure that everybody got fed, and got camp cleared up. Mostly while Gertrude was fumbling around with the donkeys. Now we need something for Reed to do. What's a good thing for Reed to be doing during this? You have some history inside, so none of his skills are particularly useful here. So in this case, I think probably what he's going to do is essentially help the pack mules. Or the pack... He wouldn't say mules. They are donkeys. Pack donkeys. They're not mules. Specifically because there aren't a lot of horses around here. So he gets a +2 to that roll, and he's just going to, instead of doing the help action, he is going to show up to actually help. So he does, in fact, pass. All right. So he feels, I think, morning, Reed gets up, and everybody's like, the other two are buzzing around like little worker bees, and they are making their plans to leave, and he's a little at odds. Remember, he's quite young. He's just a teenager. I think he sees Gertrude maybe struggling and stumbling, and he goes over there and tries to help her. So he is able, even though he's not particularly good at animal handling or really packed up a lot of loads on animals before, he figures it out, and he's able to be helpful, which is exactly what we wanted. So we are going to pass. I read. Is it a success? Not a stunning success. We didn't do super well. We didn't pass with flying colors, but we did pass. We got more successes than failures, so we do get out there. Great. That rubric is basically we want to have more successes than failures. We want 3 before we get 2. Or out of 3, we want 2 successes rather than 2 failures. So we do get there, which is good for us. So we break camp. Start marching on. Now, we don't really have a travel node that's going to be there. But I just want to see, because we weren't expecting there to be... We kind of split up our time. So I just want to see, we're just going to roll a d12. And if we get a 1 or a 12, there's going to be something here. Otherwise, things go according to plan. Okay, so we rolled a 12. So 12 is generally some sort of dressing or wilderness or something they come across that's generally not going to be a combat, or could probably be a combat, though. I mean, maybe. Never say never. Never say never. But probably won't be. So I'm going to do a little bit of dressing here. So I've got my DM binder here, and I need something for forest. Here we go. Boreal forest. Temperate and boreal forest. So I'm going to roll 2d20, see if I can put them together. If not, I'll take whichever one I like the best. Natural 20. Could have used that on the skill check. That would have been a bit nicer. 14's good. Actually, those all work very well together. Those all work extremely well together. So as they're moving through the trees, there's an opportunity for them to see something. So we're gonna have a check here. Let's see what this DC is gonna be. Okay, pretty standard DC 13 check. So who's the best at looking for stuff? I think that's Kristoff. Even though he's not trained. Oh no, he is trained in perception. So he gets a +3 to that. She's trained as well, but she does not have anything. So Kristoff. So we need to roll a 10. Great. There are... So as the group trundles down the Crown Road, down the path, the muddy path in this early spring, or I guess mid-spring at this point, and so they're trundling down the path, the camera kind of pans around, and we see that there are a number of small, easy to miss symbols that have been cut into the trunk of a tree. But unfortunately, our characters have missed that. That's unfortunate, because that was going to be a supply cache. They could have found some supplies there. Some little minor treasures there. But, unfortunately, weren't paying attention. So, hey, I'm glad to get the low rolls out of the way here before it turns out to be like a combat, or we're going to miss critical information. I'd rather blow these low rolls on just random stuff, or we don't get as far in the day. So I like that better. So we do, in fact, we missed opportunity. So we missed seeing wayfinding marks on tree, noting a hidden cache, whatever you'd like to say that. I say cache. All right, well, what are you going to do? Needless to say, we're still going to reach exterior, or we're going to say morning. We're going to reach Wild Rose Bend. And let's look up the stuff for Wild Rose Bend. Oh, yeah. This is for the abandoned keep Cathedral Pass. Cliff notes, the keep was built 50 years ago during a war between two kingdoms. The pass is the only non-mountain climbing way between the two kingdoms. We're brought to ruin with me. Oh, yeah. So it was brought to... Yeah, so the keep has been destroyed many, many times. Or across many, many battles as the sort of White Castle holding that keep. I gotcha. Cool. I got it. It's interesting to call it Cathedral Pass and there's not a cathedral there. Or at least I'm assuming. If you're saying a keep at it. At a pass. Though it'd also be very interesting to build a cathedral in a mountain pass. It seems like that would be already more difficult construction than a medieval-ish cathedral was already such a massive undertaking. Speaking of religious locations, let's pull up the stuff for Wild Rose Bend. Wild Rose Bend. Yeah. Wild Rose. There we go. Wodarilsa Boga. Or Wild Rose Bend. A religious complex that sits on the western crown of the road, runs alongside the Tokaz Bekez, which is a creek that's running right nearby. It's the way we're walking. The road's running pretty near it. Or is now going very near it. It's overseen by Arja Lagawardas, the High Lord Keeper, Appel, a toned female half-elf of middle age. Facing the road is a wide and narrow hall. That's what you're going to see as we come up across it. Its front is oft crowded with hawkers and peddlers plying their wares to roadway travelers. This front hall is the Traveler House, a public house providing repast, refreshment, and rest to road and river travelers. Behind the Traveler House is an open greens where the domestic animals graze. The green is enclosed on three sides by a multi-story U-shaped building. This serves as a lore keeper cloister and hub in the Druid network. Non-Druids are not permitted beyond its entry foyer. Within the walls are books and scrolls across a wide array of subjects collected and recorded by the resident lore keepers, of which Gertrude used to be one. Until just recently, she was sent on this new mission. Up until then, she had been staying there. Wild Rose Bend and other locations like it serve as the fundamental training grounds for Druids of all foci. Here they learn their specialties, practice their craft, and perform research to grow their understanding. Area bards often travel to Wild Rose Bend, bringing new information for recording, and gain new information to disseminate among the masses. Along its hallway and rooms are large tapestries suspended from the ceiling, featuring beautiful word art textiles in the Druidic language. The building is a cacophony of smells, from candles and paper to incense, herbs, and other aromatics, together creating a dense but rarely unpleasant scent. One strange thing about Wild Rose Bend is the high number of tieflings, saurians, and other intimidating Druids who have found a home at this bookish cloister. So, that is what we walk upon. So again, this front hallway is very, wide. It's not very deep. So it's sitting along the side of the road, and you're walking along it for quite a long time as we come across it. There are a lot of, it's morning time, so there are a lot of hawkers and stuff out there. Let's give a look. Is there anything that catches anybody's eyes as we're walking through here? This just seems like a pretty basic question. So, okay, the answer is yes. Alright, who is drawn to it? We'll do a 1, 2, 3 based on what I'm looking at. Alright, so that's right in the middle. So Kristoff. So Kristoff is drawn to one of these peddlers outside. What's this person hawking? You know what? I've got a D100 table. So let's roll on it. Of just market stalls and shops. Let's see what seems to have drawn Kristoff's attention. Alright, D100. Go! 1. Alright. 0, 1. An apothecary or chemist. Okay, so somebody selling potions and poultices and other such things. We could also try to figure out what it's for. Let's, you know what, I should have done this earlier. Let's open, it's a little dark there, but and roll another D1 hundos, a couple of them. 5 and 19. If this gives us deliver mundane. Deliver mundane. I'm thinking this is maybe somebody who's selling like chamomile or chamomile or valerian root, stuff like that. Something that's supposed to be like a nice, easy thing, like dandelion, wildflower, stuff that's supposed to be a nice little like relaxation thing for either it's a poultice or a tea or something like that. And that seems to have drawn his attention. I don't know if our buddy Christoph, I don't know if any of our retainers really have any money. They don't. But that will be on his mind because they did get agitated in last session. Agitation is like a half-step exhaustion roll where you only have disadvantage on mental ability checks that were just kind of threw in for fun. So maybe he's looking for a way, this might be something that would help it. And so I think he will kind of, look down at Reed, who is, again, quite shorter than him, Reed being a halfling. My lord, perhaps we should buy some of this, I'm going to say it's tea, some of these roots and tea leaves to, they help with agitation, to relax us on our journey, to help us stay calm and collected. I think that our boy Reed would be amenable to that. I don't think there's any reason he wouldn't. He saw how frustrated they got very recently, though he was not frustrated or agitated. I think he will agree. They have some walking around money. How much is this? I think Reed will go up and ask, how much for your teas? Oh, yes. Well, the teas are blah, blah, blah. Let's find out. I can't imagine the teas are very expensive. Let's see. I'm just gonna roll. Do they realize that Reed is a noble based off of his clothing? No, he's wearing traveler clothes. So from his bearing, they don't recognize quite that he is a noble. He is newly minted, so that kind of makes sense a little bit. And so instead, they're going to give him kind of a traveler price, which I think is going to be, I think if it was going to be gold if they realized he was a noble. So I think they're going to give him a silver pricing. Let's roll. You know what? It could be coppers. This would be like very local stuff. I think it's not particularly difficult to get across, to find or process. So I think this is going to be coppers, I guess. So let's roll 2d10 coppers. That sounds right. All right, 19. I think Reed agrees. Or Reed can try to haggle. I think this is a good use for him to try to use his persuasion a little bit. He's going to try to haggle. So let's set a DC for his haggling. Alright, well, it's going to be quite high. It is going to be 20. The DC is going to be 20. Now he has +5, but he has to roll a 15 or higher. He does fail it though. So in the end, I think he's just going to pay 2 silver. So we're going to bust this down to 14 gold. No electrum. Would give us 10 silver, so he will have 8 silver remaining. And they purchased a little bit of that. I'm going to add that to Christoph's inventory. We're going to say this is going to be 1d4 herbal tea. So they get a little bit of herbal tea. So that they pick up from there. I'm just going to write a little note for myself. Useful for removing agitation? Question mark? Yes or no? Not sure. I'm not sure if mechanically that will make a difference yet or not. But after that, they move into that entry hall, which there are some people in at this point, but most of these people seem to be like the people who are getting a late start from the Traveler House. So they're getting back out on the Crown Road. So Our people are some of the first people to arrive because we camped wild, so we're about an hour or two ahead of other people who might otherwise show up here. And those would be like the early people who are probably passing through for like lunch. We're a little bit earlier, so we're gonna walk in there and they'll have a little bit of talk. All right, yeah. The war keeps gone unoccupied for 20 years. Wow. Called cathedral due to the mountain beside. Appears like a cathedral. Okay, so it's named after the mountain. Interesting. Now President New Lord claimed both old kingdoms and needs the keep and pass to be secured so a trade route can be managed or established. Yeah. Considers the dead in the region of the local rumors. That's basically. Oh, it's very, very good. It's a very solid opening for campaign. I like it. Got some rumors in the area. You've got somebody who's trying to do something. There's going to be people who are going to want to oppose that, for sure. In my game, do I do encumbrance? Not usually. The answer is sort of, but also not usually. If I do encumbrance in my game. So instead, what I do is typically in my game. You'll notice there are like these D4s and stuff down here. Which, speaking of which, where is his? Yeah, he's got a quiver that's D6. So instead, I do resource management slightly differently. Usually I do it with a resource die where you roll it, and generally you can carry up to a D6 of any resource on your person, but they have pack donkeys with them, which allow them to carry more than usual, as long as they have the pack donkeys with them. So there are other ways that they do that. So I do that rather than worry about standard encumbrance, as in like poundage, or using the sort of variant encumbrance, which is most common I think now in like Pathfinder 2 or anything like that, where you have like 0 weight objects and 10 of those become 1 weight objects or minor weight objects and then major weight objects. So the answer is yes, but no. As long as I don't have players who are trying to carry clearly too much stuff, I don't really care about it that much. Alright, so they walk in there. I don't think there's going to be anything for them in the front hall. This is an opportunity for them to get some more information, which I think Gertrude will bring it to Reed's attention. Your lordship, we may be able to speak with Arja Lurgawardas of Hell. She may have more information about the druid that we saw during the attempted kidnapping. But she is a busy woman. It may take time to speak with her, and she may or may not have information. If your lordship would wait. Which is true. Like, we could meet with her. We might learn something about that kidnapping plot. But there's nothing that says Appel's not connected with that plot. Who may or may not, so we also maybe don't want to let people know that Reed's here. So I think there is information. I think Gertrude has made her point clear. Is like, hey, this would be a good point for us to get some information. I think Kristoff's going to be on the other side. He's going to be like, well, it's actually much better for us if we stay maybe a little secretive about who we are and where we are, because we know that there are people trying to get us. Which is going to leave the decision down to Reed. Now, I think Reed is very much based off of the attempted poisoning and the attempted kidnapping that has happened thus far. Like, he really wants to put as much distance between himself and Glory Bend Hall. Again, it's over here. So we've made some time. So we're far along the way, but we are still on the main road. And people who know where we're going would probably assume that we're taking this route because it does technically recognize potential allies. So it would be technically the safest route for us to travel. So I think... I mean... Here's the thing, is that Reed's a smart cookie. Well, I mean, not smart. He has a -1 intelligence right now. But he's wise. He's wizened. Beyond his young years. And so I think he understands the danger here, but he does recognize that this would be a very, very good opportunity. Especially right now while they have Gertrude. So Gertrude is from this place. She knows who to talk to. She has people that she can speak to who might be allies that can give her information. So I think Reed asks her, all right, Gertrude, I think this is a marvelous opportunity. Christoph, I understand your concerns. Gertrude, do you think that there's any way you can get in there and get that information without us having a formal meeting and announcing my presence there? Perhaps you could just leisurely walk in, find some friends, speak with them, find out what happened with, what was her name? Let's see if I remembered to write her name down. I don't know if I remembered to write her name down is the thing. Come in, Christoph, Gertrude, So kitchen, yeah. So there was another Saurian druid they killed. I think the other one was a tiefling, but I don't know if I ever wrote their names down. I have down Drow cultist, but I'm pretty sure that was just the stat block I was using. Okay, so it does not appear that I put a name down for them. Let's check session 2 just in case. Bagars, Ludwig, Priest Balthasar. No, it doesn't look like it. I was gonna say that we had a name like Diana or something like that, but clearly I am. Oh, hold on. Yes, one tiefling druid. But we did not have a name for that person. Okay, so we do have the tiefling druid. So we do have this opportunity to... Alright, so we purchased herbal tea, hawkers, discuss Crude, getting info on Bedsorian, druid, and living tiefling druid, which I remember was female. I can't remember. I think might have been male, might have been female. Doesn't matter. They're dead. So, the gathering info. I say stealthily. So I think he broaches that. I think he has to kind of convince her, though. I don't think she's going to be super hard to convince. And yeah, I mean, like, she's got a flat 10. And he has a, what is his, he has a +5, I think, to persuasion. So he just needs to roll a 6 or better. And he doesn't. Okay. They continue to have this conversation a little bit. And the more they do it, Christoph's like, look, people know that Gertrude left. If they see her here, somebody's going to put together the pieces that you're here as well. And they'll have a better idea as to where you are. So it's in our best interest to maybe let this pass. Maybe there's a missive or letter we could write. That's true. We might be able to send a message to somebody. We do have calligraphy supplies. We have the ability to sit down and write something real quick. Does Gertrude also write? I can't remember. No. But she knows Druidic, so he can write something in Druidic. I mean, she'll know how to write. That's silly. She's a lore keeper. Of course she knows how to write. So, they take the time. I think that's a more reasonable thing to do. And she pulls out a name of somebody. And decide against it. They decide against going in person. Instead, send a message to friends. We'll say Lorekeeper friends. Then response to be sent to the land reads to me in the Northern Marches, which technically doesn't exist yet, but who knows how long it will take them to send that message. So she will leave it. I assume that when people come to a place like Wild Rose Bend, there is a way to send messages to the big building, because people aren't allowed in there. People aren't allowed in the foyer. I think they probably send. I bet they send Kristoff to drop it off, because Kristoff's only been here once when he was picking up Gertrude. They probably won't recognize him, so I'm gonna let him do that. Because Reed they might recognize, but Kristoff is just a dude. I'm gonna let Kristoff do that. I'm gonna give him advantage on this. It's going to be a charisma stealth check, or just as well as a charisma deception check. I'm gonna give him advantage on this because I don't think people will recognize him, because he only was here for a little bit and he only walked into the foyer. Just to see if anybody picks up on him. So. Alright, that's pretty good. That means he gets a 16. DC's 12. So, drops off the letter. They're going to move on. They're going to move on and continue on their way. So, they're going to take where... There's basically a bridge here where the road crosses over. Actually, we're probably on the near side of the bank anyways. We probably don't need to do that. I assume we're on the near side of the riverbank anyways. So we're going to kick and start heading northwest, back into the forest, and back up that way. Hey, how you doing? See ya. Porters are torchbearers in my game. Yeah, this game specifically will probably have a whole bunch of hirelings, because the way that this game is set up is that Reed is going to become... We're going to do a little bit more of the manorial gameplay or estate management gameplay. We're going to do quite a bit more like that. So there's going to be quite a bit of retainers. And yeah, you can definitely hire people to like carry stuff for you, or torchbearers, or like craftsmen. We're going to hire a lot of those kind of things in this game, for sure. Do that stuff. Yeah, skip most of the mundane stuff. Oh yeah, you're all 60 plus, so you guys are old school. Gotcha. You're trying to survive and you got no toilet paper. Well, hopefully you got some other papers with you, or some socks if you come into dire straits. All right, so we're gonna pass out. We're gonna jump back on the road and start heading northwest. So let's hop back over here. What else we got? So we got 2 travel nodes that were coming up here. So for these travel nodes, we're gonna roll. We could roll 1d12s, or we could make them be actual things. Up to us. I think we're primarily trying to avoid things. So let's say this: if I roll, we're gonna roll d12s. If I roll 1, it's going to be some sort of encounter. If I roll a 12, instead of doing the wilderness dressing, we might do wilderness dressing, or I'll pull from my actual overland travel node thing, which is another 1d20. Of things that could happen while you're traveling. Let's do that instead. Alright, but, so the first pass, perfect, no issues. We're blowing and going. Great. All right, so we kick back north. We go back into the forest. Traveling through the forest, that's no problem. We get into this swampy area. The swampy area that's like really just kind of a mound here in Green Lake, because this is all Green Lake, Bunnishlaka. So it's all this area, and so we got this nice like sort of swampy area where it's just like barely sitting above the water table. And in there, we're gonna have some sort of problem. Let me look up here real quick, because so we don't really have anything going on there. So yeah, we're firmly kind of in the frontier area, which is perfect, because we're right here. So this is Green Lake. So this is kind of blown out, so we zoom out a little bit, and you can see where we are. So we started here, we just finished going through here. We're now up into Green Lake, and we're trying to get right here, also to this other swampy area that's on the other side of Green Lake. We got to get up here. This is where we've got to put our holding. We've got to establish our holding somewhere within this hex. That is where we've been given the rights to settle. Now, there might already be people there. In likelihood, there's probably already people there. Also, you might see this purple line that's hanging out right here. That is the border of another area. There is another kingdom that's here. And so if we're establishing domains in between this sort of like border area, gonna raise some tension with this kingdom that occupies these hexes over here. Also occupies this hex over here. Go up here, you can see a little bit more. So they occupy these 4 hexes technically. So if we show up here in this borderland and start establishing stuff, they're probably not going to be happy about this. And this is actually a satrapy. So this is a satellite vassal state of a much larger state that's hanging out way over here, just above. It's off the map. Not our real concern for this campaign, but hey, they have the backing of a much larger state behind them. They have decided to vassalize under as a satrap. So, not good. A little bit expansionist, maybe a little bit warlike, but it is kind of a political response to the religious incursion that those people are doing into the prince's lands. So he's kind of pushing back, showing that he's not going to be such a pushover. And ability to establish our family as nobility. And to have one family that's actually holding the North Marches and the South Marches, which will make them extremely powerful and very influential in the Principality. How about a kobold village surrounded by a holy site, which is dragon skeleton aggressively? I mean, I don't know. There could be anything in here. We have no idea yet. We don't know until we get there. We're going in blind is the thing. We know that this area has been in trouble. There have been raiders that have come through here. That's why this ferry is actually a place that got burned down and ruined before. It needs to be built back up. So there's actually a bigger ferry site here, but that place is burned down. It's still under construction. So we're going to take the Mare's Tail ferry that actually just runs from like here to here, instead of the big ferry that goes across the lake. White Birch Inn, which is over there. Alright, but we get down into this marshy land. Something comes out of the woodwork. So what I want to do is I'm going to roll a d6. We're firmly in the frontier at this point. So it's very even. 1 or 2, it's going to be some sort of artificial thing. 3 or 4, it's going to be some sort of natural thing. 5 or 6, it's going to be something weird that's on the road. Very even keel split. Back in the civilized lands, there's about 50% chance that we're going to run across generally some sort of humanoid issue. And very rarely was it going to be like wild animals or something like that. All right, here we go. 4. All right, so it's going to be something natural. Roll a d20. And we can jump over to my hex stocking. Oh, 19. All right, so if we go down here, we can figure that out. So 19 right here. All right, some sort of plant-based. So it's going to be some sort of plant-based creature. So we are 3 level 1s. So that's what we're technically balancing for, even though Reed is actually a level 0 character. and the other two are sidekicks. Let's go. As we learned quite recently, or at least I learned, because apparently I'm slow on the uptake. In the settings, you can actually set this to the 2014 individual rules, which I prefer. The only problem is the Kobold Fight Club, or Kobold Plus Fight Club, I don't think has the 2025 stuff in it. I think it's the only downside. I think these are all, not that it's matters too much, because they did not change a lot of the CRs between 5 and 5, what we're now calling 5.5 or the 2024 edition. Alright, so we have 3 level 1 characters. We don't really want a hard encounter. And we want something that's going to be planty. Something plant-like. Yep. Veggie-Pygmies, classic. Classic Veggie-Pygmies. Let's see. I kind of want to avoid Veggie-Pygmies because I'm literally running Veggie-Pygmies in my other campaign a lot. And I'm very familiar with their stat blocks right now. So Veggie-Pygmies, yes, but let's see if there's something else. And I think Fungus only has like a speed of 10, which I mean, if we come across something like that, a lot of the plants are really, really slow. So we have pretty much we're just trying to protect Reed and keep him alive to get him to the northern marches. That is our goal. It's not necessarily to kill monsters at this point. So if we come across something slow, we'll probably just run. But let's see if we get something else. Awakened shrubs aren't going anything. Twig blights, Sure, we can do twig blights. Why not? How many of these guys? So I can have up to 5 of them. So to me, that sounds like 1d4 plus 1. 3 plus 1. Okay, so 4 twig blights. Perfect. So I'm going to we're going to set a DC and then we're going to do a perception check. Actually, what we'll do is we'll take everybody's passive perception and we will run it against, I will make the Veggie-Pygmies, the twig blights make an active perception check to see if they get the drop on them. Instead of a stealth check. Just because most plant creatures have that ability where if they're still, you can't tell that they're creatures. They have that mimic kind of thing going on. Blight. Twiggy! These guys are small. Yeah. Oh, maybe they don't, actually. Maybe the twig blights don't have that. That's alright. I'm still going to roll it perception. Let's see if they get the drop. If they fail that perception check, then these two groups are basically going to run into each other without knowing what's going on. Yeah, political machinations for the future. Yeah, it's a very, very I've recognized that when I run D&D, it becomes a very, very political game for whatever reason. I don't know. That's just how my brain works for whatever reason. How about a tree? It doesn't have to be hostile. That's true. We don't know what it's going to be like. I assume that they're kind of running up across though. But we'll see if they're hostile once we get into it. But that's going to have to be a check because you're going to have to intuit what is a twig's vibe, essentially. Alright, so what's their perception? Ooh, they have -1. Alright, so they're going to have to beat their BP with a -1, which is not going to be easy. I think they are going to fail everybody's. Yeah, I don't think, yeah. And this is not right. What would it be? Oh, right, because he has the eyes. The eyes of the eagle. I was like, what? It's a +5? That's right, because he has advantage on his perception checks if he's wearing the glasses, which I'm not sure he wears all the time. Regardless, doesn't matter. This is going to be... Everybody's going to beat that. Alright, so they're going to wander up on them. So let's do... So it's definitely our group that's going to see them first. Almost assuredly, it's going to be Kristoff. Kristoff's going to be the guy in the front because he's the bodyguard. He's the defender. He's moving up. He sees them coming out of the woodwork, or they're in the woodwork. What do they be doing? They're chittering away with each other. That's how he hears them. Oh, they can't speak. Roll again. They could be creaking, though. Creaking. I rolled the same thing. Okay. So they can't speak. That doesn't mean that they don't have language. They can clearly understand language. So maybe they have like a little tapping they do with sticks or something, so they can kind of talk with each other. And so that's sort of the like clicking that we hear. Kristoff's going to hear as it comes up. Regardless, that would only make him a 13 because he doesn't get the +5 for seeing, because this will be a hearing check. But he does see them. I'm going to give him a nature check. There's a chance he might know what these things are. Maybe. Or at least by sound. Maybe even before he sees them. Yeah, I'm going to say 15 is pretty good. I think that's going to be alright. I don't think he has a bonus. No. So, he clicks in and goes, he kind of like, does this. And everybody kind of stops in their tracks. They hear the like, click, 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 click. Oh, you're heading out? Alright. Take care. See you later. Hey, what's going on, Chicken Wizard? So, now, primarily, we just want to avoid these creatures. He's just like, alright, so I know these creatures. These creatures are lights. They're little twig creatures. Can't really reason with them. So it's maybe better if we just kind of... We can either wait and see if they move on, or we can try to quietly go around them, because we have no idea whether they will attack us or not. It doesn't sound like they know we're here yet. I think the idea will probably be that they're going to try stealth around. Of course, Kristoff has a bunch of armor on, so he's going to have disadvantage on that. Let's figure out... now, their passive perception's only a 9, because we know they have that -1 wisdom. We do pretty good. Gertrude for sure is going to use her guidance on Kristoff to give him that extra d4. He's in the lead, so we're going to let him go first. Gertrude's going to probably go behind. Go in the back with the donkeys. Alright, so he has disadvantage. He only needs to be the 9, though, but he gets +4. Not trained. He does have a +1 stealth, so he gets a +2 to this roll, so he needs to roll a 7 or better on 2d20. Oh boy. So he turns around and goes, alright, everybody stay low, stay quiet. I'm gonna move forward. And then he immediately trips and falls in the mud, and his backpack opens and a bunch of stuff spills out all over the road. And all twig blights go, and pick up their heads and turn around and look directly at the party. So, yeah, that's how it's going to be. Now, are they going to act aggressively? I mean, if we go by the stat block, I'm pretty sure they're evil. They're just straight up evil. We don't have to follow that advice, so I'm going to let them... We're going to do like a standard 2d6 roll for the reaction. But I'm going to roll 3d6 and drop the highest, because I think we're going to play into them being a little bit of an evil creature, so they're more likely to attack. 2, 6, and 4. Alright, that's still 6, so they're still very neutral. Since they can't speak, I think that they're probably going to trundle off. Or at least get very wary and defensive. Kristoff, like, pulls himself out of the mud. Well, shit. And they believe they start to, like, collect things. Creatures are very wary towards them, though. So, this is going to be like a keep cool roll. Primarily, I think Kristoff's fine. Kristoff is a veteran of combat. He feels very cool. He's cool under pressure. Reed and Gertrude, however, not so cool under pressure. So let's give them a little check here. All right, they don't have to roll very high. I'm trying to give them every possible ability to just like not have this combat, because they don't want to have combat. And I don't think these twig blights necessarily want to die. So it's very easy. They just got to pass a 6 DC. And we're just going to say this is just a raw... I think this is like a charisma saving throw. I think it's what this is. Keep your cool. Be cool under pressure. Like, keep your head. To not be, like, show you're frightened. It's that thing where it's like, with animals, it's like, hey, if you come up tense, like you're afraid, the animals read that off of you, and they're like, oh, what is this situation? I thought this is a different situation than we have. So, pretty easy. Reed should be very good at this. He only needs to get a 3. My brother in Christ. All right. All right. We've tried to do everything we could to avoid a combat, and yet this has not worked. So a combat there must be. The dice have decided. So a combat it will be. Fantastic. All right. So they continue through the woods, or through the forest. Down into the swampy shores of Green Lake, where they run into some twig blights. Twig blights. Alright, and we're going to roll some initiative. Typically for bad guys, I just let them take passive initiative, so as if they roll a 10 all the time and then just roll around them. Especially when they're all one monster, it makes life a lot easier. Alright, so they have a 12 initiative. 12 for our Twiggies. And they have 7 hit points apiece. There's 4 of them. There we go. Yeah, plant monsters thinking stupid animals doing a faceplate in the middle of the path. Yeah. What are they doing? Why are they acting weird? Yeah, very much that. How did my session go? Did they reach the evil poison tree? They did in the campaign I'm running. Yes. In fact, we were supposed to play again last night, but we had to cancel somebody's. Unfortunately, dog was not doing very well. They had to go to the vet. So, and as far as I know, the dog's doing fine right now. But we did have to cancel our session yesterday. But yeah, they got to the evil poison tree. Did a lot of things. They completely missed the giant, which is very interesting. Of all the things they missed the giant. But yeah, they got Rock'em Sock'em by a few different things. We had a natural 20 call upon the divine presence of Cleric's God to fill in the crocodile bayou and turn it into a bog, which was very interesting. Filled with decayed matter, because that is their god is like this god of decay, so they filled in this bayou into it, like forcefully turned it into a bog. Very interesting. All right, let's roll for our guys. Reed's up first. He has -2 initiative because our dex is awful. Doesn't matter. Natural 20. He's ready. So 18. Let's Reed. Reed has 7 hit points. He has as many hit points as a small bundle of twigs. That's important to remember. He is a level 0 PC. What about everybody else? We'll do Kristoff. He gets a +1, so he gets a full-on 20. Not natural. So he writes himself and he's ready for fight. He has 14 hit points. And for Lady Gertrude, she also rolls well. 17. So apparently it was clear that we were ready for this to turn into a combat, which makes sense given the situation. Yeah, it was a very fun session. It had a lot of stuff going on. We were exiting a player out of that session too, so he got pulled by his. He has a fiend that he has a pact with, and he got pulled by that fiend to go to the location that actually our other PC is at, because one of the PCs split off. Surprisingly, our druid PC wasn't on the very, very druid-related adventure that they were on. He decided to stay back and deal with these Vegapygmies that are blighted. That's one of the things they're going off to investigate. And so he's found actually a separate dungeon that is fiendish in influence. And because that's been procced and opened up now, the fiend was like, you need to go there now and work on opening that gate. And so our little fiendish friend cast greater invisibility on him, and our tiefling artificer is on his way to help open the gate to let more demons into the world. And that is where he has exited the campaign. Now he has become a bad guy. Now that that player is moving, so we had to exit him out of the campaign. So he's kind of becoming a bad guy, most likely at this point. Gertrude has 11 hit points. Okay. So it's clear. Things have turned. This is going to become a combat. Twigs smack their twiggy bits around in a war cry kind of way. And Kristoff's up first. Well, we've already said that Kristoff slipped, so I think it's only fair that we're going to have some difficult terrain. And we're going to represent that as you're going to need to make a dexterity, or you say acrobatics check to move full speed. Okay, so you got to make it dexterity 15. There's a lot of mud. It's been raining. It makes sense. Acrobatics 15 to move full or fall prone. I think it's going to take a full move to get there, which Kristoff can't. I mean, he can try to do it, but he's already shown his acrobatics is maybe not great. He only has a +1 to that. So I don't think he's going to do that. I think he's going to load up, and he's going to stand in between. He's going to basically push Reed behind him and do his bodyguard thing, where he's going to stand in front of Reed, and he's going to take the dodge action, and he's going to try to weather these blows as they come in. And that's going to be Kristoff's. So he's going to take the dodge. Let's go ahead and, you know what, let's get some fight music. How about that? Rather than this serene forest audio that we've got. Is there something down here that maybe makes sense? This is Tabletop audio. You should go check it out if you haven't already. Very fun way to get some music in there. There should be... you know what? Just do this. Just look up combat. Bet you I can find something that's tagged for combat. Goblin ambush sounds good. Pulls out. Yeah, I like that. I like it. So our twigs are going to rush forward, and they are going to fully use their pack tactics, and they are going to quickly surround Kristoff, who is the big, most intimidating person in the group, seconded only by Gertrude, who is also quite a large lady. But she's just thick-boned. So he's going to take the dodge action. These guys are all going to walk up, and the first one's going to have that disadvantage, but everybody else is going to go straight against him because they get their pack tactics. But once that first one's in there, they don't get it. They'll nullify that out. 4 plus whatever's going to miss. And then 3 standard attacks, 8, 12, and 15. I don't think... They get a +4. 12 doesn't hit. 16 doesn't hit. 19 does hit. So one of them's going to get in there and get a scratch in. 1d4 plus 2 slashing. This thing grabs onto his leg and slashes at him for 3 points of damage. And Kristoff goes down to 11 hit points. Still in the campaign, they just didn't want to play that character anymore. Then for them, it was just like a character concept that didn't quite work out. And so anyways, they wanted to exit that character and enter a new character and said, okay. And so that character had an injury already and that they were struggling with. And so they got a very, let's say, experimental treatment. They got a skin graft. Unfortunately, that skin graft was from a troll skin. They thought, oh, troll skin regenerates, so if you slap that on a person, obviously the person's skin will regenerate. That's fine. That's the issue they're having. In this case, it perhaps is turning them into a troll. And so anyways, they think that they have killed their friend at this point. But they did not kill their friend with fire or acid. He's probably still out there somewhere. He's in the woods somewhere, doing trolley kind of things. Yeah, any archers with rags are pitching the party. Yeah, not really. Our only archer is Kristoff, and he's in the melee right now. Plus, these guys don't really have enough hit points to really warrant spending a full action to do something else. So if we had some alchemist fire, that would be super useful, but I don't think anybody has a fire spell. unfortunately. I let the Twiggies go. Everybody else has a turn first. That's fine. Let's retroactively do everybody else's stuff. I think that Reed for sure would have the ability. You know what? We'll assume that they all took readied actions. They moved up and all took readied actions. To strike when these guys came in. So Reed will get a swing on one of them, even though he only has a dagger. He'll miss. That makes sense. Reed sucks. He's a level 0 character. Gertrude, what would she have held? Actually, she probably wouldn't have held anything because she has her thing. Actually, what she would have done is she would have casted Bless, is what she would have done. So I don't think, what is these guys DC? I don't think a Bless will even help him. Yeah, their AC is 4. Even with the Bless. But that is what she would have done. So she's going to have used her Divine Aid, cast Bless. That is a bonus action, though. And as her standard action, she would have done the Radiant Flame. So she's going to try to hit one of these guys. 19 on the die is going to hit all day. So Gertrude shakes her staff and points a finger out, and one of these twig blights explodes into radiant fire. And has the screaming hiss of like water escaping burning wood. One Twiggy, for sure, just immediately cindered. Alright, we did Twiggy's turns. Back up at the top, Kristoff's dodge action wears off. He's going to turn around on one of these creatures, and he's going to take a swing at him. I don't think Kristoff gets 2 attacks, does he? He does. Attack the first. 11's not going to hit. Attack the second. That will hit. 7 points of damage. Just what he needs. He cleaves one of these things in twain. As he tries to protect Reed. That's Reed's turn. Reed will turn around and try to stabby one of these guys. Will continue to be as useless as possible as Reed normally is. Gertrude, I think is still standing. Hold on. Reed has 9. No, they have an AC 14. Even if you got full bless, he wouldn't be able to make it. Gertrude's in the back. She's gonna take a shot at another one of these guys. Surprisingly, Gertrude is like the most lethal character that we've had in the party so far. Even though she is not built to beat the fighter. 6. So she smashes one with 6 points of radiant damage, and it's still up. Now, it's Twiggy's turns. Twiggy's got into combat with these guys. Things immediately started to sour. They've done no damage. They've done a little bit of damage to Kristoff, and that's it. So they are going to need to make some charisma checks to see if they stay in the fight. Alright, so their charisma is a 3. So, if you guys haven't seen me do the morale rolls before, it's a roll under system, I roll their stat or under. So I'm going to roll a d20 for each one of these guys, because they're both at the point where they might flee combat. If they roll a 1, 2, or 3, they're going to stay in combat. But the likelihood is that they're both going to run at this point. Yeah, so they both disengage and start to boogie off. And they start to flush back into the trees. We don't necessarily want to give chase to them. Back up the top, so they've moved 30 away. We know going through the difficult terrain is going to trace them. They're heading back straight into the woods and the mud, and there's nothing really here to do. Kristoff could probably shoot an arrow at them. But honestly, yeah, you know what? He'll swap out here and pull out his bow and try to take a shot at one of them. That one that's hurt, that's running away, that's limping a little bit. He'll try to take a shot at that one. Sizzling with radiant energy. He might hit. That's 8, 9, 10, 11. Need a 3 or better. I don't. He shoots off one arrow. Usually if we shoot off one arrow, we don't have to make a roll for the arrows. You only use one piece of ammunition during combat. I consider that to be conserving ammunition, which point you don't have to roll to see if you lost any arrows and the whole thing. So they rumble away off into the woods, and that is that. Let's go back to Forest A. Oh, you know what? Let's do. Alright, I did Forest A anyways. That's fine. So the Twig Blight Scourge removed. Kristoff's taken a little bit of damage, but he's just scratched up a little bit on his legs. Not too bad. Nothing to really worry about. No need to probably take a rest for. But Gertrude did blow her one use of Divine Age, which is very important because it is also the only way that we have for magical healing at this point. So not great, because she's technically an expert sidekick character instead of a spellcaster. Just because she's built off of the acolyte or whatever it is, they get this one specific thing they can do. Alright, well. Twig Blights run back in the darkness. We'll do a little check. You know, and then we'll take a... They were clearly here. These little blight guys were here for something. Remember, they're small. They're small creatures, so they're not super tall. They're maybe as tall as Reed. Probably not quite. Let's say, a check around. That seems like a Gertrude thing. I think Kristoff is being, scanning the sight lines to make sure that there's not more creatures that might jump out. The Lord Keeper Gertrude might go ahead and fumble around and see if she can find anything. That's going to be a little investigation check for her. She's good at those. She gets a +5. Let's set a DC. Not that. Alright, well, that's a 17 DC, so she needs to roll a 12 or better to find something. She just misses it. Though technically... wait, Bless doesn't work on... Bless is only attacks and saves, I think. Bless specifically does not work on ability checks. Could guidance herself, but I didn't say she was doing that. So, we don't find any treasure. We're not quite sure what they were messing around with. He picks up a few sticks and things like that, and kind of maybe they were making a little nest or something. She kind of looks back at the other two and kind of looks, I don't know what they were doing. And the group is left to move on. So this time, I think it's firmly midday. Actually, it's probably into the afternoon at this point. In fact, it's so far into the afternoon that because they're going through a very difficult area, this swampy area, there is a chance they might not make it here. Which is a good place for us to have a discussion, or a choice to be. If we want to go, I think they start talking about it, because they understand, I think more than anybody, Gertrude knows the area. Because again, she's been working here for a very long time, living and working there. So she's familiar with the routes and people coming across the Green Lake and around the area. So she tells them, look, we can go... actually, let's... before I get too far into the weeds. Okay, so it's yeah, we can go straight to Mayor's Tail. Mayor's Tail straight cable. We can go straight there. We can go straight to the straight cable. That's a mouthful. We can go straight to the straight cable. We can do that perfectly easily. We can do that, but I'm going to say that that's going to be a check, because we have to go off the Crown Road to get there directly. If we don't, if we want to continue to follow the Crown Road, we can for sure stop up here. This is a construction site. See if we notated it down here. Yeah, this is an active ferry repair. So they are working on rebuilding the ferry that was burned down a while ago. There is no settlement there, though. So she kind of tells them, is like, we can go there. It's up out of the water. It'll give us good sight lines. Not too much traffic there because the ferry's not working. So it might be a better camping place. But we wouldn't get to the ferry until tomorrow. And I think Kristoff goes, well, there's a chance the ferry's not even there, right? It could be on the other side. That's true. The ferry could be on the other side. Because they couldn't spend all their time getting all the way down to this cable ferry, but the ferry's actually on the other bank, which means there's no place for them to go, and they're just sitting out in the open. So, going to the hillside is potentially a little bit safer because it's on the main road. Or, sorry, it's more dangerous, but gives you better sight lines about what's going on. Going directly across country through the swamp to the ferry means that they're going to get there earlier. Might be a little bit safer because it's off the beaten path, but also might be dangerous. Also, the cable ferry might not be there, and they're just kind of stuck there. But if the cable ferry's there, they might be able to make that passage just at dusk, all the way across. What do we want to do? Yeah, I think, what do I think Reed would do? I think Reed has been very much pushing for them to get further out. So I don't think he wants to stay much more on the Crown Road. And I think Reed would tell the other two, look, the Crown Road's not even that safe most of the time. We've now been attacked. We've now gotten into a skirmish twice on the Crown Road. So if we get up to the work site, maybe there's people there, maybe there's not, but there's no village up there, correct? Gertrude would shake her head. No. So, who knows who could be waiting for us up there? Could be all sorts of banditry and whatnot. So maybe we go straight for the ferry. Kristoff, do you feel confident in being able to lead us through the swamp area? To get there before night falls, before we get lost in the swamp? Let's give Kristoff he is a woodsman. He does have survival. He's got a +3. Yeah, with a not natural 20. He's like, oh yeah. Certainly, I mean, if we know the heading, we can get there. Sure. Even if night falls, I'll be able to get there. I feel confident in that. Well, I think that answers it to me. And I think he will try to persuade the two of them. I think Kristoff's on board. I think Gertrude might be the only one who's not on board. So I'm going to give her a wisdom... Actually, a charisma save to not be convinced. Or we'll do her straight 10. She'll take 10. So an 11. He needs to be an 11 with a persuasion check, which I think he can do. Yeah, he has 11 on the die. So that's a 16. Yeah, it'll be fine, Gertrude. And let's just head out. There are going to be a lot of options along these travels. Unfortunately, the final decision as to what we do rests upon my shoulders. That is what Prince Hells has shouldered me with, and that is the role I must take. I believe it is best for us to head through the swamp. Kind of once again, as his retainer. And we are going to head out this way. So it's definitely late into the afternoon now. This is a last-ditch effort to get there. Let's see. I think I don't foresee there being any other issues with us getting there. But just in case, we'll just roll for a random encounter. Nothing happens. Alright, so nothing happens, and they reach the ferry. Now look. It's late in the day, so I think there's a higher likelihood that the ferry is on this side of the river. And we can actually look up Mayor's Tail Ferry. Let's hop down to... Well, let's put our notes in. Going to go off-road and cross country through the swamp. Reach ferry. Four days in. So let's look at our county map. Let's go to... There we go. Mare's Tail Strait Cable. This cable ferry follows a chain that crosses the Mare's Tail Strait, west from the hills near Gronishlaka Faru, to the mire south of Rookland. The ferry is run by a group of industrious Smalleyholders, or Little Spirits. Yes, this is actually a leprechaun-run ferry. They charge a ferry to toll the cross to the strait, but folks say the Little Spirits can be charmed into free passage by performing a small trick that appeals to their fey origin. So they hang out over here, but there is not like village or hamlet or anything, so they're gonna, if they have to sleep here, it's gonna be rough. And who knows what leprechauns will do to you while you're asleep. So, that is... Right. So, I'm gonna roll a... I'm trying to think of the probability, because I think it's more likely than not. I'm trying to figure out if I think it's extremely likely or not that the ferry is on this side of the cable. This is the side with the Crown Road, so I think that makes it extremely likely. I'm sure they get more passage for people going to Rookland than people from and around the Chantry and Rookland trying to get back onto essentially the mainland. Because if we look at the map, it's kind of a little island that's kind of hanging out here, kind of low ground, soggy area that's kind of in the middle of the lake, and then this one true island that's heavily wooded. This area. So I think that, yeah, I think for sure they would spend more of their time over on this side because that's where the Crown Road is. Probably a lot more traffic. So, it's extremely likely. So we're going to roll a d20 Oracle. We're going to give it a +5. So really only if we roll a 5 or lower is it going to be on the other side. It is definitely on this side. So we will approach it right before night. Now let's look up some... Leprechaun. Ah, there they are. Leprechaun is proficient with all artisan's tools and adds double its proficiency ability to ability checks made with them. I'm going to say this also goes with them with water vehicle training. Though, which I think they actually removed from 2024, which I did not realize. They actually removed that from the book. Why? I don't know. It was nice to have. Don't become Shambling Mound Boo. That would be bad, yeah. Swamp home of rattling, shambling mounds, gators, black dragons, yeah, all the good stuff's in the swamp. I do a lot of swamp and marsh work, but the campaign I'm running right now has a lot of marshy, coastal, salt marsh kind of stuff that's in it. Very dangerous place. It's got crocodiles and troglodytes and all sorts of weird creatures that are out there. And occasionally they come across a automaton that's stuck in the mud and they can help him out, who's actually a perfumer by trade. Reluctant refusal. When a creature offers the leprechaun the chance to partake in merriment or revelry such as a song, dance, or good meal, the leprechaun must succeed on DC 15 wisdom saving throw. So we're using their stat block to inform the ability. It's like, hey, if you are able to essentially charm them, they will do what you want. Treats a creature or a trusted friend and seeks to defend it from harm. The charm condition ends if the creature or any of its allies damage the leprechaun, force the leprechaun to make a saving throw, or steal from the leprechaun. So don't do that. Well, my PC would say that, yeah. So I think, right before we get into the leprechaun thing, I am out of coffee. So I'm going to do a refill on the coffee, so I'm going to take a short break. We're going to come back, we're going to figure out This is gonna have to be a Reed thing. Reed's the only person with a lot of charm in our group. And I don't know if anybody has anything super useful. Oh, he can play cards with him. He can play cards for it. He is proficient with playing cards. Maybe he knows some card tricks. Yeah, this is gonna be a Reed one. So, thus far in the adventure, Reed's not been particularly useful. But when it comes to talking to people, that is where Reed's gonna shine a lot, because he is the person who grew up ostensibly at court for most of his life, as technically a political prisoner or hostage, but also got a very good education, also rubbed elbows with a lot of nobility and other sort of high-ranking officials in the principality under the prince's care, who's only a little bit older than him. The prince is also quite young, so they have a somewhat strong connection to each other, a kinship in that way. So I think he could also cook for them, which would be very fun. But I think it does have to be merriment or revelry, song, dance, or a good meal, So in fact, I might make this a 2 out of 3. You know what? I'm doing the work. I'm supposed to be taking a break. So you guys hold on. I'm going to go fill up on my coffee and I'll be back in just a minute. All right? Alright, I'm back. I was looking for... I don't know where I placed it. I have a little silicone cover that I usually put on top of coffee to help keep it warm. But I have placed it somewhere else. I've also let my dog into the room. We'll see if he behaves himself. He likes to look out the window right next to me and get himself upset by things happening outside. So, if he barks, we'll get him out of here. But for now, we'll let him lie. All right, you leaving? Yeah, okay. Whatever. Bye, bud. All right. So let's jump back in. Yeah, usually we play a rogue sorcerer. Yeah. Very common combination, or separate. Very popular classes and a very popular combination class. All right, let's go back. I guess we'll go full screen. Yeah. Okay. Let's change our music. I feel like playing. It's a little bit more jaunty because I think that these guys are gonna be in a good mood. I don't think there's a party. Village festival, maybe. Halfling Lodge might be the right vibe, maybe. Let's see what this says. Yeah, I like that. That's fine. More of an indoor thing, but that's fine. That's okay. I like it. They're having a good time. So at this point, the light is flagging. We're fully in golden hour at this point. And as the three trudge through the swamp, pretty much like most of them up to like their knees or thighs, and probably up to his waist is Reed, who's much shorter than the rest. Kind of making their way through this muck and mire. And they follow the lilting sound of music. And they start to peek through bushes and hedge, and they're able to see startings of a campfire that's going on, and a number of these other smaller creatures. I believe they are also small. Yeah. We're having a good time. Kind of winding up for a day. Next to the shoreline, next to them, there is a quite large size, I guess medium-sized barge and thing. If you've ever seen, you have probably seen The Lord of the Rings when they are going across the Brandywine with that chain, that cable, or the ferry that's got a cable on it that they pull the thing across. Same sort of ferry that they've created, that these guys have created. With their cobbler hammers. It's like, I guess I'll take the lead. Well met there, friends. And I think the number of them, I think there's probably like a half a dozen of these guys that are here, thereabouts. They'll kind of look up from what they're doing as they're trying to like set up their like little camp for the day, which I think is kind of a bivouac. So it's sort of they might have like a turf house, probably kind of not a turf house. There's certainly, actually, no, that makes no sense in a swampy area. They for sure don't have that. They probably have a stilt house, little stilt hut that they work out of, setting off by itself. And a yard that they've probably like built up a little bit, so there's some dry ground where they probably do their cooking and probably where they hang out around, because probably not a lot of room inside the stilt house. Well met there. We are seeking passage on the ferry. May we approach? I think there's a lot of little green guys that come together. Come on, approach. Well met, travelers. You want to cross the ferry? We do, yes. Certainly we must pay you. We would like to go today, if possible, in what light remains. Oh, that will cost quite a pretty coin to go across now. We're done for the day. But we could be persuaded, my brothers and I, for a certain amount. A certain amount. and they're going to take stock of Reed. Take a look over everybody here. Try to figure out how much money they have so they can figure out how much money to choose them. They have astonishing luck, cunning trick. Feels very much in their way to be like, yeah, they got a pretty good perception. I'm gonna say if they get a 10 or better with a +4 to their position, if they get a 10 or better, they're gonna clock that these guys have some money with them. Yeah, they clocked that they have some money with them. Yes. Well, let's see. There is you and your friend, beefy-looking guy, and the lady here. Yes, very nice. And two well-laden donkeys. I see. That's pairs of legs apiece. And starts futzing with some numbers. I have some what the actual D&D, at least 5e rules are for ferry passage, which is not much. I think it's we can look it up. But yeah, they're probably, you're absolutely right, Michael. They're gonna charge them like 10 times the rate. Let's see. Services, cab, coach, meals, ship passage. This would fall under ship passage, which is about $1 a mile. Now, each one of these hexes is about 10 nautical miles, so it would be a gold apiece. So I'm thinking they're gonna say basically 10 gold apiece, or they're gonna say 10 gold per pair of legs. So that's 30 gold for our friends, and then 50, 60, 70, 80 gold for us now. Well, that would be roughly. Now I put that. We can carry the 1. It's 80 gold. Take you right now, my brothers and I. Reed's like, 80 gold? Absolutely not. Well then, I guess you can wait until tomorrow. Ah, shit. Okay. Well. There's turn around like, let me converse with my patriots. Gotta like huddle up. All right, 80 gold is way too much. Do they have 80 gold to give? Yeah, they do. They could technically pay this, I believe. Then I'm looking at the wrong sheet. We need... What's the group's inventory? Yeah, I mean, they have 162, but it'd be like half their gold. They really can't afford that. I mean, they've got other stuff they could sell to them. Who probably has the best knowledge here? I think this is going to be a lore keeper, Gertrude. I think she's going to be the person who has the most knowledge about them. Which I would say is probably going to be... I'd say history check. It's a place that's been in the area. It's probably been here for a while, and I think Reed is also trained in history. Yeah. So he's going to give her the help action. Actually, either one would work. Yeah, I'm going to say, what's that? That's like a 17. 17 is well enough to know, like, look, they can be reasoned with by other means. We are able to... They cannot... The Fae are very strange. Sorry, I mean, totally not doing her voice. They are very strange. Good. Give them an offer they cannot refuse. They are reluctant. They are reluctant to refuse merriment or revelry if there's anything we can do to offset that passage price. Perhaps they will adhere to it. In a little bit. Okay. Well. And he's been with these people long enough. He's known Kristoff longer because Kristoff is was a retainer of his father. It's like I don't know. It's like maybe I know a few things. Tell you what, the cards. Maybe play him in cards for it, or he's gonna look a little sheepish and be like, I could also just maybe make them a meal. It doesn't seem like they've eaten either, so I mean, I could help them that way. I'm a pretty good cook. Or I'm all right. I'm an okay cook. The other two kind of like looks at each other and like pretty weird for a noble to be able to cook. Booze, you're right, booze. Actually, yes, actually that's extremely helpful, Michael. Thank you, because one of us has the alchemy jug. Well, there. That is the magic item that we picked up. That were some of the gear that we were given at our commendation to help us continue our journey. So we do have the alchemy jug. We can make a whole bunch of beer real quick. We don't. No pipeweed, unfortunately. But we can make wine or beer. Probably beer. We can make I think you can get 4 gallons of beer. And I think you don't get very much wine, if I remember correctly. But 4 gallons of beer will, and that's something. Yeah. All right. They talk about this and be like, ha. Goes back. Reed's gonna come back and be like, I will. It is a fair price. A fair price, Master Leprechaun. However, what I would like to present to you is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity to show you 3 amazing things that we have, one for each of us. If you agree these things are amazing, would you perhaps be willing to waive the fee for our passage? I don't know. It had to be pretty amazing. But we are in dire need of entertainment. This would be entertaining? Why, sir, of course it would be entertaining. It may be the best thing you've ever seen. Oh. Alright. Yeah. We'll give you a shot, kid. And so the 6 of them kind of like find a downed log that they use around the campfire and like sit down. Alright, kid, regale us with 3 amazing feats. We'd love to see them. Well, where should we start? Tell me, do you want entertainment? Do you want food? Or perhaps you would like to see a bit of magic first? Ooh. I think magic, yes. Show us your magic. Youngling? Stripling? Show us the magic. Well, my assistant will bring me the jug. Gertrude picks up the big alchemy jug and hands it over. Now, as you can see, the jug is empty. He turns it upside down. Ooh. Empty. But what if I told you that there is a very special treat just for you all within? All I need to do is pluck it from the ether, like one plucks a plum from the tree. Excellent, excellent. So, he's going to take out like a blanket or something, some sort of sheet or something to cover it over with. I shall say the magic words, of course, of which Reed knows no magic words, so he makes some stuff up because he doesn't speak anything but common. At this point, he will get another language, we just don't know what it is yet. I won't decide that until he becomes level 1. Know what it's gonna be. But let's say that he maybe speaks in that language. Might be a thing they probably don't know, since they know Common and Sylvan. So he speaks some other language, says some magic words, and he's going to do. This is kind of a showmanship thing. So I think that he's going to get advantage on it because of what he provides, and he's doing these things in a very specific order. So I think I'm going to give him a performance check, which he's not trained in. And I don't think anybody else is in the party that can really give him a hand. I don't think so. I think we can assume that Gertrude is probably going to give him the guidance on it. So I'm going to give him advantage because the magic jug does the trick. His is mainly just the showmanship of it. So let's set. Actually, I don't need to set a DC. We can just look at their DCs. All right. We're gonna say this is kind of like a wisdom save. So DC 14. So we're gonna have a DC 14. So they so ADG ADG toll to cross the ferry now. Asked to essentially to perform feats in lieu of payment. All right, so we've got the alchemy jug, and DC for this is gonna be 14. All right, so he has a +5, or sorry, +3, but he's also gonna get a little something something from Gertrude, who's gonna work a little bit of magic in his favor. Okay, he gets a +4 essentially. So we're gonna roll 2d20. We have to get, yeah, he speaks in gibberish essentially. We need a 14. We get a +4. We got to roll a 10 on 2 dice. This is manageable. 13 will clinch it for us. Zabazee, zabaza, zada! And he lifts it back. He's like, ha! I hope you fellows are thirsty, because I have brought for you a good quantity of the finest beer, finest dark ales. Urgh. They all start bringing their like wooden and horn cups around. Starts pouring out beer for them. Of course, it's the alchemy jug, so it just works. So yeah, they get, I believe it's 4 gallons of beer. I believe. This is alchemy jug blue. Oops, if I spell right. Alchemy jug blue. Beer, 4 gallons. I was correct. 4 gallons of beer. So that's quite a bit of beer. Hopefully the idea is that then, you know, maybe they'll get a little shifty. A little in their cups. They're small guys, but they have a pretty good con. But that is merriment. 1 undertaken and passed. So, success. Fabulous, fabulous, fabulous. Now, of course, you can't have good beer without some good entertainment. Now, how are you boys at cards? And so he's gonna play cards instead. Now, do we have anything we could bet? It would be worthwhile for them. Probably not. He doesn't really have anything. Do we have anything in the parties? We might have something in the parties. Repertoire. If not, they'll just play for straight cash. The carpenter tools, not really. No, we've got the spices. Play for some spices. But we might also just use the spices. Yeah, I think we'll just play a card game. All right, so there's 6 of these guys. We're gonna play some just standard card games. Actually, you know what? He'll do card tricks. You can do card tricks. We already did a little magic show. He accidentally cast wild magic, turning all their enemies into iron that chafes. Iron enemies. Ouch. Ow. So yeah, they play some cards. They're going to be enjoying themselves. I'm gonna say that they. I can give them all con saves real quick. There's 6 of them, we said. All right. Well, that guy passes. These 2 guys will probably pass, but it seems like half of them. One guy's getting a little woozy. These 2 guys are just absolutely. They're out of it. They're in fact sleeping at this point. They had a little bit of beer. They're full lightweights, and they're just. There's only 4 of them that they need to play with, and one of them for sure has disadvantage. So we're gonna let him set the DC. What is his? So I'm gonna say basically playing cards is mostly charisma. Most part, because he's trying to be more entertaining than he is necessarily winning, rather than being a proficient player. Especially with his insight. His insight is also quite good. So that would be a 14 insight or a 15 persuasion. So each one of those is quite good. Actually, yeah, each one of those is quite good. So let's see. They're gonna get 2 guys are rolling straight and 1 guy's rolling with disadvantage. Or sorry, 3 guys are rolling straight. So fail, fail. This guy's gonna pass, and then 1 guy with disadvantage. Oof, yeah. So he does a pretty good job. I think that's considered a success. Just make it light and easy. Like, he shows himself to be quite a proficient card player. And there are a few that are able to, like the better card players are able to kind of fleece him, but they recognizes game, right? So they understand that he's quite a good card player. So they're gonna drop in here. I'm gonna call that card game. And I think the other 2 are just, again, up to this point, they haven't really seen Reed do a whole lot, and now they're watching Reed do something that neither one could ever do, which is basically fleece these guys into giving them free passage. So 2 of them are riding for free already, and the last thing he's got to do, he's got to make a meal. Now, nobody else is trained to cook's implement, so they can't help him with that. But Gertrude can go ahead and give him the guidance for that. He can get the +4 for it. And I think he's going to get advantage because we're going to use some of those spices. Tell you what, here's how it's going to work. Is that depending on what I roll, instead of giving us advantage, it'll be whatever, and I'm going to use their constitution as their palette, essentially, to make it a pretty high DC. To get another, I'll pay 1 gold of spice for every point that I need to get to where I need to get for him. Oh, you're a fantastic card player. My friends are not long for this world, I see, but you still owe us a 3rd feat. What do you have for us? And I think there's like tummy starts to crumble. I got so busy we haven't even eaten anything yet. Well, speaking of eating, perhaps I can make a meal for you. Something perhaps you've did before. We do love some food to go with our beer, which is excellent. Thank you, by the way. Oh, of course. I'm sure my compatriots will help me. Let's get your stew pot going. All right. So he's gonna jump in there. We're gonna pull out the spices. Remember that we have 50G in spices that we can spend. Primarily, that was for us to be able to trade once we get to where we're going. But this could give us free passage as opposed to paying, a whole bunch of money. So it could save us. It's more economical to spend it here than it would be to save it for later. So he gets the D4. I'm gonna say wisdom feels like cooking for the most part. It's very much the classic D&D example where intelligence is knowing that tomato is a fruit. Wisdom is knowing that you don't put tomato in a fruit salad. So wisdom seems like the appropriate thing thus to use for cooking. So he gets a +2 from wisdom, and he gets +2 for his cook's utensils, which he does have. So that's what we're going to do. He gets a +4 to the roll, and on top of that, he's going to get this. Oh, baby. Clutch roll. It gets a +8, so we might not have to spend anything. Now, over these guys. I said I was going to use their con save. All right, so 15. So we only need to roll a 7, which we'll probably do. But we might want to blow a little bit. I I could spend the gold and ensure that we get it. Outside of rolling 1. Actually, even if we rolled a 1, I'd let us get it. So I could ensure defeat, or ensure victory. Or I could give an opportunity for defeat and have to pay a lot more money. So it honestly is just worth it to just pay it out in spices. Alright, so we've got 8 on the bat already. We're going to get 9 for the roll. So we really only need to pay 6 to meet or beat, which is what I'm going to do. So we're going to do that. Why take the risk? So we're going to have 39 G in spices. This heavily spiced stew that we're making. These leprechauns. And I'll make the roll. So we're getting a plus 15 to the roll. Hopefully we roll high. Okay. A 24. Now, a 24, that means that to reach that with their con save, they would have to roll, what, a 19? Which I'm going to interpret that as being, this is maybe not the best meal that they have ever had, but it is almost the best meal they have ever had. There are probably some strange Fey dishes that you just can't get on the material plane. Stuff like that they were like, oh, well, it's not like berries of good cheer or some bullshit like that. Very Fey kind of stuff. It's not like it has no tears of sorrow in there or anything like that. But for a mundane dish, it's immaculate. So that is going to be a success across the board for us there as well. Not the duck-s. A success. So across the board. So we're getting free passage. So we're going to earn free passage. We had already had that pretty much secured. I knew if we were going to get 2 out of 3, things would go well. I was thinking if we got all 3, we might get something special from them, because they have a cool thing in their stat block we might get access to. Just because I knew it was there. I haven't read into it, so maybe it'll be useful for us, maybe it won't be. I just know that there's something that they can give you, the gift of the luck. But I'm purposefully not reading what it does. So we're in the free passage. This food's amazing. It's great. It's not maybe the best food. It's no Fey chef, sir. But certainly the best food we've had on your mortal plane. Well, what do you think, brothers? Has he earned his passage for him and his companions? And 2 of them are still awake. The other 3 are asleep. I think so. As do I. Well met, young lord. Yeah, half of them are passed out for the booze. Ow! If half of them are passed out. Yeah. Well, I think you've done admirably. You're well met. And, certainly, I think at this point we should perhaps know your name. That way we can tell others about you and your kind feats. Now, is this a Fey trick? Could be. So they have sleight of hand and stealth, but they do not have anything like deception. So it's just their basic Riz, which is a +4. We'll say a DC 14. The read needs to make 2. We'll say that's a wisdom save. So he gets a +2. So he needs to roll a 12 or better. Is there anything else that would keep him from doing that? He has lucky. If he rolls a 1. So technically, I forgot that he has lucky. We probably would have done. I don't think he has anything. I don't know if anybody else would tell him. No. Gertrude really doesn't have anything. She already used her bless, so she can't use that for that. So yeah, I think it's just, you know what? It's an insight check is what it is. It's not a save, it's an insight check, which he's technically better at. He gets a 4, so he needs to roll a 10. If he rolls a 10, he's going to give him some other answer that's not his actual name. So he's wise to it. He sees that twinkle in the corner of that leprechaun's eye. Me, sir, but I am someone of no consequence. But I am the lord, the land litter of the northern marches. From here, across the Rooklands, across the Green Lake, is where I dwell. And so you may tell your friends that I am the lord of the northern marches. Alright then, KG, you are definitely known to our tricks. That is something I can appreciate. Perhaps I will bestow upon you a gift as well. Gift of the luck. Leprechaun touches a creature and magically gives the target a measure of luck. The creature gains the leprechaun's astonishing luck reaction. The reaction 3 times, after which this gift goes away. Leprechaun can revoke this gift from a creature at any time, no action required. The creature can benefit from only one leprechaun's gift of luck at a time. When the leprechaun fails an ability check, attack roll, or saving throw, it can roll a new d20 and choose whether to use which roll, potentially turning failure into success. Oh, cool. Cool. So it basically just gives you some inspiration. That is super useful. Now, question. Do the other 2 that are awake give them to his compatriots? They weren't really the forefront, so I don't think so, but I'm going to let them roll for it. So I think it's pretty unlikely. Not extremely unlikely, but pretty unlikely. So -3. So we got to roll a 14 or better. No. He's going to give it to one of them. Probably not Kristoff. I think Kristoff has been pretty standoffish. Again, he's got that bodyguard role kind of thing, where he's just kind of like watching. He's being kind of mildly intimidating without really trying to be intimidating. But they are going to give it to Gertrude. They are going to gift Leprechaun luck to read Gertrude. But I think they're going to do that. I'll wait to give you our gift until we are across the Green Lake. How about that, young master? If you can wait long enough. Of course I can. Perhaps we can get some shut-eye along the way. Perhaps. But it won't take us that long to get across. But certainly you can camp on the other side. That would be ideal. Well, let's get these lazy bones up. Get to work, getting you across this strait. So they get up, they pile everybody onto the cable ferry, and luckily, you don't have to be particularly sober to pull a chain, so it's pretty easy for them to labor to get this ferry across the water. Which is going to dump us off right here, on the other side, into also a very swampy area. Now they know once they get across it, they're going to have to go to northeast. But by the time they cross this thing, it is fully just dark at this point. So this is going to be Kristoff's opportunity once they get across. There is the passing of the luck. They touch him. I'm going to say that when they touch them, they're going to touch them... I'm going to say like on the wrist. And there's going to be this little golden 4-leaf clover that shows up. And we'll say it's a 3-leaf clover, because they get 3 uses of it. And they kind of explain, well, when you're in need of good luck, you simply touch this, and one of the leaves of this clover will disappear. Once all the leaves are gone, our gift is gone. But, well met, Lord of the Northern Marches, and fare thee well. And they are going to pull themselves back across. They're not going to camp on this side. They're going to go back home. But it's late night. Kristoff needs to find a place for them to bed down. It's in the dark, so it's going to be really difficult for him to do. It's also in really crappy territory. So I'm going to roll a DC, and I'm going to drop the lowest here. Okay. That's still not terrible. It's a 16 DC, which is something he could do. Gertrude will go ahead and give them guidance action. I know that's why we have it. So he'll get the guidance for it, but he also has a little bit of a plus. He gets a +3 to it. We'll get a +6 to it. So he just needs to roll a 10. Come on, buddy. Yeah. Alright, so he's able to find some high ground actually fairly easily, even in the dark. So they light up their torches and start looking around. And he's able to find, like, I don't know, like a wayward tree or something that they can shelter under that's on like a high bed of the swamp. And they're able to tuck under that and get some sleep pretty easily. Or, we'll see. So they go ahead and press. That's going to be a little a leaf clover mark on their wrist. And they cross the let's see. Avoided telling leprechauns Reed's true name. So they cross the strait and find a good campsite. We don't have to worry about them waking up aggravated again or anything like that, or sore or something like that. So they're able to find that. They bed down for the night. Let's go. Now that we have left the leprechauns behind. They've bedded down. There's a chance. There are 3 of them. There are 3 opportunities for something to happen in the night. Hopefully nothing will happen in the night. See? You'll notice, I think, on Reed's character sheet, that I have the rations written down. I haven't been checking the rations. We have so much food that we don't have to worry about the rations because we got such a big amount of it in the commendation ceremony. So once we get to the end of the journey, I'll count all the days and just subtract it instead of trying to do it piecemeal as we do it. And actually, these are the rations that we left behind. These are the things that are in the Hell storehouse. But we still have 300 rations. We have plenty of food. Not great food, but we do have plenty of food. All right, so we find a good campsite. So each one of these guys, everybody's going to take a turn here on watch. We'll just go in the order I have here, which is going to be Gertrude, Kristoff, Reed. See if something happens during that time. The night passes uneventfully. We did not roll a 1 or a 12. Night passes easily. So, if we look back at our map, we are in place. We are, yeah, I mean, we're right here. Okay. So we got to move up into the Chantry next. So let's, so we know where we're going. And I think, given the lowdown, I think Gertrude would be the person who knows this more likely. Let's ask this, is Gertrude the person who knows about it? Almost, yeah, for sure she knows. So she starts to give them, as they're packing up in the morning, getting ready to go, she starts to give them like the 411, like the information about the Chantry and what they need to expect. Let's look for the Chantry down. Actually, we don't need to do that. Oop, be above that. Swamp moss. There we go. It was right above it. Swampomosa. So, nestled in the green lake marshes is swamp moss, a stone and timber prairie for the Order of the Ghost Hawk. The isolated religious compound is situated in the swampy landscape to collect and process the sacred sphagnum moss that grows in the bog. But more recently, this prior has spent more of his time training his rangers and patrolling the Crowland borders, Rooklands. Swamp moss is headed by Prior Class, a wizened, pot-bellied saurian male with chartreuse scales. He's a dragon born of Bahamut, CR08, so that's his stat block if things go wrong. This guy is pretty powerful, dude. Class is a cool, taciturn leader, but is known to be aloof, even contrarian in nature. So she kind of tells him a little bit about this. We'll see Prior Class. He is... let's say that his temperament is the reason that meshes very well with this out of the way priory or chantry. Yeah, I guess it's technically priory. It's not chantry. Priory. It will be potentially difficult to convince him to give us passage into the Rooklands. But still better if we tell him we are going into the Rooklands before we do it. If he is able to give us some sort of notice from the Ghost Hawk order, perhaps the Rooks will see us more favorably. But they may not as well. It just depends. Normally, I would say it would not be necessarily worth our time, or unlikely that we might get the blessing of prior class. But given the young master's performance last night with the leprechauns, the things that I thought once were not possible have become possible. You have shown great courage and leadership, my lord. Oh, well, thank you. I appreciate it. Gertrude, you were a big part of that success as well. We certainly would have been in a very different situation if we did not have this alchemy job. So, thank goodness you brought it to my attention that we had it and been useful. All right, well, prayer class seems like a bit of a hard ass, but no nuts so difficult it cannot be cracked. So perhaps we can do that, and even if we don't have his blessing, we can still make it into the Rooklands and still possibly persuade them to take us across on their own ferry. Just weird, strange. I didn't even know there was a Rookland ferry. So yeah, I think it makes sense that Reed doesn't know anything about it. I think Kristoff will get just a basic D10, like, do you know something about this? No, he's like, I don't really know anything about it. I haven't spent a lot of time in sort of this area of the Furstentum, so I don't really know that much. Gertrude, do you know about it? I think it's likely that Gertrude's heard stories about the Rookland Ferry. Yes. The ferry is a misnomer. When one thinks of ferries, they think of boats. The Rookland Ferry, no boat. Lies. Is a creature black as night. And it will take some convincing for them to take us across. Convincing or something perhaps quite shiny. Yourself's like, so more money? I mean, it can't be as much as 80 gold, right? Not necessarily. They like shiny things. I don't know if we have anything like that we're willing to give away. Perhaps prior class can give us some instruction. And nods her head. That would be wise to ask. Alright. Well. We've got to go. Alright, so let's that's the plan. There is one travel node in between here in the priory, so let's see if anything jumps out. So I should say what we're going to do here is we cross the street and have a good nice passage. So we have a new day, and the new day is morning. It's going to be Spring Mother 32. And we need another bit of weather. So we were at 04. I'm going to roll a d8. Figure out where we are. 7. So right in the same. So the weather stayed the same. Perfect for us. It was breezy, average day, foggy, but otherwise very manageable. And we can back to Swampy. Different swamp. Something. Fire bog. Let's go with. We can exit the last of these because I think we're probably gonna leave off right about here. At this point, where at the point where as we get into the priory, that's gonna kick off a whole new thing of what we're doing. But let's deal with this travel node first, and then we're gonna get to the Swamp Mass Priory, something that I kept calling a chantry, not a chantry. But it is a fighting order. So it's the Order of the Ghost Hawk. But it does seem like a pretty good place for us to cut for this session, and then we'll pick up next time, probably deal with Prairie. Alright, so that's what we got. What we're gonna do is we're gonna roll a little we're gonna roll a d12. If something pops up, we'll decide on what that is. Remember, it's only on 1 or 12. Nothing. Alright, so we make it through that. So if we look at our travel route, we have gone through Mare's Tail. We're getting closer and closer. So certainly, I think by next session, we should be able to get into the Northern Marches. This time, we did a pretty good job about avoiding things. We did leave off that message, which we'll have to see how long it takes for that to come back. Also, how it's going to get there. Because if we look at the map, you know, trying to get a message from here all the way up to here is a lot. It's a long range. Yeah. Nice to have you back. Just going to finish up with this session. So yeah, how do you get a message from Wild Rose Bend all the way up here into the Northern Marches? There's not really a great way to do that. You could send something around the Crown Road this way, which would get you to here, which there's one village that's just like right on border. Otherwise, you gotta get to here, and that's generally gonna mean this ferry that's defunct right now. It's under construction. So, getting the message back might take us a lot of time. But that's okay, because actually we don't have any place for that message to appear yet, because we haven't created our setting or holding or whatever you want to call it, or hold fast. Because we're going to get in here and then we're going to start poking around and seeing what we can find. And then we're going to get into real hex crawl kind of territory where we're going to be discovering stuff as we move around in here. In fact, once we get up to here, what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to drop us in. Like I said, this is county player hexes. So it's the second lowest hex, or second, 3 of 4 magnified hexes as much detail as we can get to. There's one level below it where each hex is actually only 2 nautical miles wide, which is what we'll get down to once we get into here. We're going to really drop in and be like, now we're really crawling around and trying to figure out, and we got to find some good place for us to essentially plant our flag and be like, this is where we're going to make our home at. But we've got all this area to figure that out. And like I said, there's going to be probably quite a bit of stuff that's already in here. We just don't know what it is. We'll have to see what's on the borders over here. You know, we don't know. These people might actually have some stuff over here. Magistrate Leandros might have... I said Leandros, that's not right. What is that guy's name? First Tales. Laios Lawrence. He might have some stuff over here. He might have some settlements. He might have already incurred one little imperial and maybe have already annexed some of this land. We don't know yet. We'll have to figure out once we get there. If not, we're probably going to be very much taking it away from other people or putting our rule over them. That's the plan anyways. This is an every Saturday stream. This is, right now I'm kind of running it like every other Saturday. Like last Saturday we talked about encounter design. And this Saturday we did this. Next Saturday we'll probably do some other D&D Dungeon Master kind of related thing. And then we'll probably jump back in and do another one of these. I usually stream every Saturday. And then sometimes during the week, sometimes Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays. It just kind of depends on my schedule. We jump in and work on stuff, and usually that is like my D&D prep for Friday and stuff like that. But yeah, so probably we're gonna pick this up in 2 weeks. But I think for now we're just gonna leave us off where we are, right when we approach Priory over here. Let's get that description of the Priory again. Wrong sheet. Oop. A stone and timber priory of the Order of the Ghost Hawk. An isolated religious compound in a swampy landscape. That works to like the swamp moss here. That is what they do. So, our three guys are going to be walking up to that in the morning. And that's where we're going to leave the session. That's going to be it for us. And that's it for this one. Hopefully you guys had fun going through here. Just trying to think if there's anything else. Oh, I need to reset Kristoff's hit points. What I need to do. Okay, there we go. After he got hurt. So, we got quite a bit accomplished. By the end of next time, I think we should be at least at the Rookland ferry, if we're not already over at White Birch Inn. I'd like to finish next session with us getting over to White Birch Inn, getting across the lake. That would be ideal. But that's really going to depend on how things go at the Priory, how things go in the Rooklands. I don't think the passage will be much of an issue, though there is a chance that we might have to let the donkeys go. I don't know how well the donkeys are going to deal with the ferry. Spoiler alert, the ferry's a massive, like, rock-sized crow, or raven. Like, they're probably not going to be okay with that thing picking it up in their talons. But, we'll see how it is. But, yeah, that's when we'll drop in, so we'll probably do that in 2 weeks. I don't know what I'm going to do next Saturday. If I don't come up with a good idea, I might do this. We'll see. But I generally try to do it every other week. But, yeah, I think that's it for me, guys. Thanks for hanging out. This is always a lot of fun. I'm very excited. It's nice to see Reed actually show up and be useful in the session, doing some talky bits, and do something that the other two much more competent sidekicks can do. Now, of course, once we get over there, that will change. Ooh, scene of the session. I forget. I feel like I forget about this every single time. This is so silly. What do we do at the end of every session? It's right here in our session outline. I should read this. At the end of each session, we will roll 1d6 to add it to Reed's ability scores because he's starting with just garbage stats, showcasing his quick maturation through the adventure. Upon reaching the fief at the end of his journey, Reed will gain his first level in a D&D class, which we will decide at that point. At each level up, Reed has the ability to re-roll one of the ability scores that he got a 1 in. One re-roll per ability score. Rolling a 1 on the second one is a replacement, then we're just stuck with it. Where did we... I think it's in the reference. Yeah. Alright, so here we go. We're going down here. Alright, so... his charisma's locked, his wisdom's locked, his constitution's locked, his strength is locked. So we really only have dexterity and intelligence at this point. Neither of which was particularly fundamental for him in this session. But I think he did pull out some knowledge. We did talk a lot about knowledge of the history and stuff of things that are going on in the area. So let's go ahead and give him an intelligence roll. So we're going to roll a d6 and we're going to add that here. Come on, big monies, big monies, big monies, no whammies. Yeah, that's not great. Okay. That's fine. He has a 10 intelligence. That's okay. We can live with that. Let's go over to read. So his intelligence went up to 10. Gives him a big fat 0 on intelligence. So we don't have a 1 in intelligence, so those stats are firm. Charisma's stats locked in. Wisdom stat locked in. Intelligence stat locked in. Constitution stat locked in. Strength not locked in because we have a 1 there. We can get a reroll when he gets his level up. And we still have that going for dexterity as well. But otherwise, his stats are pretty locked. So with that in mind, we're probably going to go charisma build. He did have that very interesting encounter with the cat, which is one of the gods in the world. Now, he doesn't follow that god's religion. It's the thing. There's multiple religions in the world. There's not one true religion. There's 2 kind of prevalent religions, then a whole bunch of like folk religions. And they follow folk religion. That's part of the big political tension, is that one big religion's coming into the region, and that was a god from that religion that reached out to him. But we could go something with wisdom base if we wanted to do a cleric or a paladin. We could maybe go that way, because we still have that reroll in strength, so we could make him be a weird paladin. He probably wouldn't be the greatest paladin in the world. You never know. We could roll a 6. Remember that we still have those +3 to give him from his background as well, which I have not given to him yet. So we can still massage these stats a little bit. So he's going to have pretty good overall stats. He might end up with a 16, 16, 10, 14, 13 or 14, and then maybe just a okay dex. The dex is not going to be our strong point, so we're not building any rogues, and we're not building any rangers. Probably not building any monks. Makes sense because he's been just awful at fighting. So we're probably going to be looking at doing... He's probably either going to be a bard or a sorcerer with that dex. But again, we can bump up his wisdom to also be just as high. We could go full cleric if we wanted to. There's a little overlap with Gertrude, but not a ton. But it is something we could do if we wanted to. It's just going to depend. We'll have to see how the rest of his stats fall, but we're not going to know that until at least one more session. It's lined up almost perfectly that we're going to get to the area that he needs to be in by the time he makes his first decision to gets his first level in class. We should have all his ability scores pretty much sorted then, which is good. But that's it. Yeah, that's the last thing we need to do. That's it. Thanks for hanging out with me, guys. It's fun. We'll see you guys next time. If you like this, make sure to like it. If you want to see more of it, subscribe or follow, whichever. If you're watching on Twitch, you follow. If you're watching on YouTube, you subscribe. If you want to see the whole playlist up to this point, it's over on YouTube. There's a whole playlist for it. Check it out on the channel. That's at RedRaggedFiend. I'll see you guys next time. All right? Bye.